I own a Questyle Sigma Pro and a drawer full of wired IEMs, including the Kilobuck tier Moondrop S8 and IO Audio Volare. I have no real reason to reach for a $50 true wireless earbud on a regular basis. And yet, for the last couple of weeks, that's exactly what I've been doing. Even with way better options sitting right next to me, I kept picking up the Moondrop Pudding instead. I really don't think that's supposed to happen, and in this review, I want to figure out why. Before we get into the review, I do want to make a quick disclaimer that my review unit was provided to me by Shenzhen Audio. I'm not being otherwise compensated for making this video, and as always, my thoughts and opinions are my own. If you value honest, technically literate reviews, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. In this video, I'll be covering the Pudding's build, design, comfort, codecs, features, battery life, and of course, sound quality. Let's start with what you get in the box. You get the Pudding earpieces in their charging case, a USB-A to USB-C charging cable, although the case also supports C-to-C charging, a quick start guide, a full manual, a warranty card, and a quality control pass chip. You also get 6 pairs of ear tips in small, medium, and large sizes, plus an anime waifu postcard. The Pudding is built from matte gray plastic and shaped like a traditional IM rather than a stemmed design, which I personally prefer. Insertion depth is on the shallower side. Fit and seal have both been good for me using the included large ear tips, which I switched to right out of the box. I haven't really felt the need to do further tip rolling. I also haven't developed any hotspots or pressure points with extended use, and these don't require much readjustment over long listening sessions. I do want to flag one issue with the build quality up front, which is that there's no IP rating on the Pudding, which is worth knowing if you were hoping to use these at the gym or on a run. I would really like to see Moondrop include these on a future TWS at this price point. The Pudding runs Bluetooth 6.0 and does support multipoint, although I haven't tested it myself because you can't run multipoint and LHDC simultaneously. You have to pick one. On the codec side, you get AAC and LHDC. After my experience with the Moondrop X Wuthering Waves U.C.T.S, where I spent over a week listening to compressed AAC before realizing the LHDC toggle was buried in the app, I went straight into the settings on the Pudding and activated LHDC before forming any opinion about how these sound. Range is a little worse than what I experienced with the U.C.T.S. I get about half a floor of horizontal distance and a full floor of vertical distance before the connection starts to degrade, which is enough for typical everyday use, but worth knowing if you move around a larger space. The Moondrop app itself continues to be excellent, with downloadable manufacturer and user-generated EQ presets, full parametric EQ, and firmware update support. I will say that the firmware update process had a bit of a hiccup during my review period. The app displayed an available update, but the update button itself was hidden, which I suspect was because the changelog was long enough to push the button out of view. Moondrop pushed an app update that resolved this for me, but based on the review from the headphone show that came out the other week, it doesn't sound like everyone has received that fix yet. Charging speed is slow. The case is rated for a maximum of 5 volts at 0.4 amps. This actually sheds some useful context on something I said back in my U.C.T.S. review. I questioned at the time whether my Wuthering U2 meter was bottlenecking the charge speed I measured on that product, but seeing such a slow advertised charging spec here on the Pudding makes me think that the meter was reading correctly all along. Controls are handled via tap and long press gestures. A single tap pauses playback, a double tap on the right earpiece skips forward, a double tap on the left earpiece skips back, and a long press on either earpiece cycles through the ANC modes. All of this is remappable through the app if the default layout doesn't suit you. I'll be honest about the touch reliability here, it's definitely hit or miss. I'd estimate something like a 60% success rate on registered taps, which is the one area of the physical experience I'd really like to see Moondrop tighten up. There's no in-ear detection either, so you won't get automatic pause when you pull an earpiece out. The Pudding includes both ANC and transparency modes. ANC here is mostly effective against low-frequency rumble and works fine in a pinch, but this isn't a product I'd buy specifically for noise cancellation. Similarly, transparency mode is fine for general situational awareness, although self-voice pickup through the mic is a little underwhelming. I haven't specifically tested wind noise handling, and I don't have detailed battery numbers comparing ANC on versus off, so I'm not going to speculate on either. As far as battery life is concerned, the same story as the U.C.T.S. is true here. If I wear the Pudding to bed, they're dead by morning. But for actual use, I'm getting most of a full 8-hour workday out of a charge, which is a very livable number for daily use. The case gives you about 2 full recharges before it needs to be plugged in itself. I don't have precise measurements isolating individual battery drain rates across the different codecs and ANC modes, but I'd assume LHDC draws more power than AAC, and that running ANC or transparency mode will cost you some runtime as well. I don't have anything to report in terms of call quality, as I haven't made or taken a phone call while wearing these. As for gaming, latency felt more than adequate for single-player games. I tested with Breath of the Wild, Morrowind, and Darksiders 2, all without activating the dedicated gaming mode. I don't play multiplayer games on my phone, so I don't have a reason to trade sound quality for the lower latency the gaming mode presumably offers. If competitive mobile gaming is your use case for these, that's worth testing for yourself. For daily listening, I've been using LHDC paired with the user-submitted Smooth Vanilla Pudding PEQ preset, which the author markets as being tuned for listeners with smaller ears, which happens to describe me. However, everything I'm about to walk you through was evaluated using the default reference EQ preset. Sub-bass extension is very good, subjectively better than I'd expect based on the graph. Mid-bass impact is strong enough that it may actually be masking some of my ability to judge sub-bass extension accurately, which is worth flagging for you all. The sub-bass emphasis is limited to below 150 Hz. Bass texture is good, bass resolution is fair, and there's no mid-bass bleed. Male vocals have body and warmth but limited grit and detail. Female vocals are clear, lush, and vibrant, but not sibilant to my ears, although they are a little husky sounding. Male and female vocals sit at roughly equal prominence in the mix. Analog percussion has good timbral depth, but suffers from what I'd describe as lateral compression. The notes don't seem to have enough room along the time axis to decay naturally. Distorted electric guitars come across as a bit overdriven with the dreaded buzzsaw-like character I detest so much. On the other hand, instrument separation is surprisingly good. I would not describe these as having class-leading mid-range clarity, but there's a good balance between mid-range instrumentation and vocals that doesn't leave instruments sounding hollow at the expense of vocal isolation. Treble is just a hair scratchy, and transients have a slightly tinsely character. Overall detail retrieval is closer to what I'd expect from a $100 product than a $50 one, although it's not at the level of something like the Truth Air Pure. Mid-treble sparkle is limited, but there's a reasonable sense of air. This is where EQ can make a real difference. Switching over to the Smooth Vanilla Pudding preset improves the overall tonal balance and cleans out the treble transient roughness noticeably. If you find the treble to be a little much on the default tuning and your ears are on the smaller side, that preset is worth trying out before writing these off. The soundstage is decently wide and it's not especially compressed vertically either. Imaging is decent, but nothing special. I had wanted to compare these directly against the Moondrop Mocha, which had been my previous favorite Moondrop TWS, but unfortunately one of my Mocha earpieces died at some point over the last several months. While this is sad for me personally, it's also yet another point of evidence that Moondrop does not cherry-pick the units they send reviewers. I am also intentionally not comparing these against wired IEMs like the OP22. I think that TWS and wired IEMs serve different use cases. TWS is about convenience and modern features like ANC, not chasing the last word in technical performance, and stacking them side by side doesn't tell you much about whether either one of them is right for you in my opinion. With that said, and without a direct side by side, I think this is the closest that Moondrop has come to having its TWS and IEM lineups genuinely compete with each other, rather than one clearly outclassing the other. I would actually put everyone forward as a reasonable target audience here, which isn't something I say often. This is a very strong starter or beater TWS for anyone who wants something that sounds largely correct straight out of the box, but to echo what the Headphone Show noted in their coverage, you may want to spend a few minutes in the PEQ to smooth out the treble. With that said, the fact that Moondrop hands you the tools to do that as part of the core user experience is a huge selling point for me. If you want something that sounds like a modern IEM without making a lot of compromises to get there, the Pudding has my strong recommendation at $50. Between this, the Pill, and the U.C.T.S, I'd reach for the Pudding without hesitation. I still personally prefer the OP22 in terms of pure technical performance, but that comes with the trade-offs of a wired IEM, and for a lot of people the convenience gap is going to matter more than the last bit of detail retrieval. What I keep coming back to is this. This is the first TWS that I've found myself reaching for by choice, not just to finish a review. I'm not sure I can offer higher praise than that. Before we close out the video, I do want to give you all a quick reminder that my IEM giveaway is still running. We're almost at 1,500 subscribers as of the time of recording this video, so there isn't a ton of time left to enter if you've been putting it off. Thanks for watching until the end of the video. I appreciate it more than you know. Until next time, this is Bedrock Reviews, signing off.